Sean, what would you say is the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
I don't do many dangerous things.
Dig deep. Like, have you ever
Uh,
ice skated?
I've ice skated. Yeah, no, I've done stuff that's no, it was always relatively safe. A camping trip where we went like canoeing down rivers for 5 days, where you
Okay.
don't see anyone from one end to the other. In Canada, so there's bears. Does
Oh,
that count?
okay. Did you see a bear?
No, thank God. My goal was to not see a bear.
So in a way, you pulled off the stunt successfully by not seeing a
Exactly.
bear. Okay.
Yeah. For you, what's your most dangerous?
We don't have time to get into all that, Sean. I think we should get on with the podcast.
Just too many.
I, man,
Narrow it down.
I do see Tom Cruise as something of an aspirational figure, though,
Mm.
in many
In what
respects.
aspect?
Many.
Okay. Such as.
I think I shouldn't.
Okay. You've revealed your biases
I didn't.
for this movie.
No, oh yeah. Okay, so the most dangerous thing you've done is you canoed down a river and didn't see any bears.
Well, before that, honestly, I didn't know that sort of stuff counted because, I mean, nothing happened. So can I say it was dangerous?
I guess
Yeah,
not.
sorry, I don't know what the idea was there, but um, no, I believe I avoid danger usually,
Okay.
you know.
I can't say
Uh,
mine because it's illegal.
oh, well, you have to say it now. We'll bleep out the illegal
I
parts.
can't. It's all illegal. But let's just say there was like one night 2 years ago where I thought for sure I'm probably going to die, and I didn't. So in a way, that was my Mission Impossible final reckoning.
Wow.
And if you stay tuned for the next 30 minutes, maybe you'll find out more.
Oh,
Ooh.
really? Okay.
I'm teasing, Sean. I'm doing a podcast thing. I'm teasing.
I'll certainly stay tuned.
Play along. You, I'm not going to say I delivered that perfectly, but you gave me nothing to go off of. You gave me nothing.
I'm not a very good improviser.
No, it's why these first 5 minutes tend to be the most painful of every single episode we do. I am also not a great improviser, but I think we're bad improvisers in different ways as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your way and what's my way?
I would say as an improviser, you're very much you're quite structure oriented.
No, I am. I am.
Yeah.
I would say that is something I've noticed about myself, is I am
Which
structure
is
oriented.
funny because if we start doing a bit, you'll very quickly try to like put like an order on it.
It's the reason I'll never be a great artist, but I might be a mediocre podcaster.
Yeah, it's the reason why I might be a great artist someday, but also I'm only here because you edit the podcasts.
Your lack of structure is the reason you might be a great artist, but also the reason that you're only a mediocre podcaster.
If not for you, I probably wouldn't even be a mediocre podcaster. You're very much, I would say, and take this as a massive compliment. I would say you're like the Benji to my Tom Cruise,
Who's Benji again?
Simon Pegg,
Ah, okay, I'll take
or
that.
maybe you're the Ving Rhames either. You're one of those.
I don't know. My favorite character was Bill Tench because he's Bill Tench.
You're the Bill Tench to my Tom Cruise.
Hello and welcome to Love It or Slated with Sean and James, a movie podcast where James and I talk about movies that we love, hate, and feel in between about. Basically, because we are ex-film students and we don't have a real reason to talk about movies that much anymore. And people at work tend to find it a bit annoying when you keep talking about random movies that you've seen us because it means nothing to them. But it's not our first podcast. That's the next part. What happened the last time we tried to do a podcast, James?
We went over, man. We went over and then went over on that over and over the third time on that. We went long. Our Avatar The Way of Water episode was longer than Avatar The Way of Water. Listeners will know that reference because I make that same joke every other week. But
Yeah,
just need to really drill home that we have a time limit for a reason. We do a tight 30 minutes from when we start talking about the film till we finish talking about the film. And after those 30 minutes, all the nukes are fired, the bombs go off, the world is over, we are done so. To make it topical to the film we're talking about today. Do you think that was seamless enough for
that
you?
was topical. What's the movie?
It's the film this week, not movie.
Yeah,
The film.
it's a movie. It's
It's
certainly a movie.
it's the most filmic. It's filmic, I would say. It is the eighth installment in the franchise Mission Impossible, the
Eight.
final reckoning. It's the eighth installment, yeah. Mission Impossible: The
What's
Final
can
Reckoning.
you tell me the previous seven?
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 1,
Oh, you
Mission
want me to?
Impossible.
So you
Mission
want me to do
Impossible
it?
2,
Yeah,
3. They don't have subtitles, do they?
they do not. But now we're
4
into
does.
four does.
Fallout?
Nope. It's Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol with Jeremy Renner.
Ah, okay. Instead of
Now,
Tom Cruise.
nope. No, Tom Cruise. Well, there's a story there. We'll come to that later. It's pretty good. About basically they wanted to replace Tom Cruise with Jeremy Renner, but he
Why
said
didn't they get
no.
someone younger than Jeremy Renner?
At the time, Jeremy Renner was the hot thing. He was the newborn guy. He was the Hawkeye. He was in everything.
Mm.
Then there's Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, which is where Christopher McQuarrie comes into it. He's the director of all the films after that. Then you have Fallout, Dead Reckoning, and now you finally have The Final Reckoning, which is part two to the Dead Reckoning.
And at that, I'm going to start our timer.
Great.
It's part 2, but it wasn't advertised as a part 2.
No, and I
I
think,
think I think they did it so that they wouldn't prevent audiences from seeing it if they haven't seen the previous one.
well, part one was advertised as a part one. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part One was the title when it was in cinemas.
Okay.
And they since edited it out and just made a Dead Reckoning. The problem being, and I suspect it's because it was such a late decision to not make it part one, part two. The first hour of the Final Reckoning is pretty heavily weighed down in exposition and flashbacks and catch-ups. It's been pretty widely criticized for that. I would also say the first hour has a lot of issues. As a result of sort of having to sort of
Oh, wait, that's of this one.
that's this one.
Yeah,
I
no,
think that I
I
think the first
totally
hour
agree with you.
I think the first hour is a problem with trying to edit in a bunch of context to a film that maybe was filmed before it needed that context. Like I suspect it might have been shot as a part two and then edited to be standalone. In a way, I think the
Yeah,
first hour hurts
absolutely.
because of that quite a bit. But I'm going to I will before we get into it, I should preface and say I think Mission Impossible films are by and large exceptional. I think they are the absolute height of action blockbuster filmmaking in the modern day. I think the McQuarrie run from Rogue Nation through to Dead Reckoning, those three are three of the best action films. Maybe, I don't know, possibly potentially of all time, but we can get into that. And this one is a step down, but it is also kind of the neat bow at the end of it, and it still has a couple of pretty extraordinary sequences in the middle and towards the end. I think it's fair. I think we can probably agree the two big marquee moments are pretty top dollar. Sean, you're not so much a fan
Yeah.
of Mission Impossible as I am. You haven't seen as many of them.
No, I've seen a few of them. I've seen the first three for sure. I think I've seen Dead Protocol. I think I've seen Protocol. I think I've seen Fallout, and I've seen this one that we're talking about today.
So Protocol, the famous part is when he climbs up the tallest building in the world in Dubai with the
Ah,
sticky
that's what that
gloves.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, you've seen that one.
sure. Yeah,
And Fallout is the one with Henry Cavill as the villain.
where he
And they have a
pumps he like loads his biceps when he's fighting.
yes, and they have a helicopter fight at the end.
Yeah,
You've seen that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's good.
They didn't have any massive lasting impression on me.
Okay. Well, Fallout would be pretty highly regarded even outside of me, I would say, as a tentpole action film. Um, well, I don't want to get into sort of the public reception just yet. I think we should give our own takes first. You saw Final Reckoning recently,
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
and what did you think?
Yeah, it was I look, I didn't hate this movie. I agree with you about the first 30 minutes to
I
an
go,
hour.
yeah, yeah.
It felt like that's what I was saying. It felt like, oh, we shouldn't advertise it as a part two because we alienate anyone who hasn't seen part one. Whereas, like, it's true that you don't need to see part one.
No,
It's very much a movie you can just piece it together.
I
I
would
don't even
say,
think they
yeah.
needed the explanation at the beginning, even if you hadn't seen part one.
No, I would say there are elements of this that aren't as rich if you haven't seen part one. I think the whole element with Gabriel, who obviously you'll know is the villain who worked with the entity in part one, now works against it. He is established very well in part one as a very credible, accomplished villain. And obviously
Okay.
the the joke in part two is that over the course of these two films, he's become increasingly Wile E. Coyote. And he's gone
Yeah.
from very cool and assured and like methodical at the start of part one to basically putting dynamite in tunnels by the end of part two. He's gone totally unhinged, and that is a
A
two movie
nuke in a
arc.
tunnel.
That is a two film arc, and I think by only watching The Final Reckoning, you do miss out on sort of the devolution of him from
Sure.
mastermind to nutcase, and that's very enjoyable. That's a very enjoyable little mini arc that you don't get when you watch this one. But in terms of actual plot logistics and Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt, man is going to save the world, there isn't much homework you need to do, really.
No. It's Tom Cruise running makes up like a third of the runtime of this movie.
But he runs so well.
He does run well.
He
That's
has an
true.
incredible run. Like, yeah. Okay, so your thoughts on this film
Actually, you
overall?
talked about Gabriel. I
Yeah.
made one one note,
Oh
which
God.
was just about how he dies.
Awesome. It's great.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
guess
funny.
if sure, it's certainly very funny. It's way left of field for all the other deaths in the movie.
It is. I think it's worth, as a Tom Cruise scholar myself, by which I mean a fan.
It was
I'll
like a Final Destination death.
it. Oh, don't you dare compare. I would suggest that Tom Cruise and McQuarrie have both said, well, Cruise has said a big influence on his career and how he wants to make films is the works of Chaplin and Buster Keaton. Okay, those sort of silent. No, genuinely, let me finish before you raise your eyebrow, listeners. He raised an eyebrow, like literally, like not like
Just in the context of that death, I don't remember that ever happening in a Chaplin or a
no,
Buster
but
Keaton.
his whole thing is about visual sort of stunt performance and slapstick and farce as sort of modes of action, right? Like I
Okay.
think most of the big set pieces across this franchise are quite personable and quite funny.
Hmm.
The submarine not so much, but we'll come to that in a bit, in the sense that like a really technically proficient action scene is one thing. A really technically proficient action scene where you like are very involved with personally with the character is another thing entirely, right? If you care about him, it works that more. I think his thing has always been sort of silent comedy and silent slapstick integrated with these incredibly technically proficient stunts. Like he does see dialogue as pretty um unimportant, and I think that's that shines through a bit. Like the submarine sequence is like 20 minutes where no one speaks. It's purely
He
a
says one
physical
thing.
endeavor. Oh
He
yeah,
says torpedo shoot or something.
fine, cool,
That's the one thing he says in that whole sequence, and it stands out a lot because he's like doesn't talk for 20 minutes except for at one
torpedo
point in the
shoot.
middle. He just says, I don't know if he says torpedo shoot or what, but he says torpedo something. It's like you
Okay.
didn't need to say that. We could have told understood.
Well, I mean, I think talking too much is probably explaining too much is probably a theme of this film. But I think stuff like Gabriel's death being really over the top and ludicrous is kind of a punctuation mark and sort of giving a more human, quirky, and gutter reaction aesthetic to a really technically proficient action scene, right? If it can make you
Sure.
laugh, it's more impressive. It can make you laugh as well because laughing is an easy emotion to. In the same way, yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of talking.
Yeah.
I'm kind of babbling, but I think it's so disarmingly funny that it gets you more involved in the stunt, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of what I'm getting at.
certainly.
That's more what I'm trying to say in a million words.
Also, the part that I found was quite funny was he shouts at him, "I have the only parachute,"
Yes, yes.
and he immediately has another parachute.
That's because he's Ethan Hunt and he's basically God.
Okay.
Well, actually, I would say in the context of this, he's probably Jesus, right? Like if we take it as a biblical,
We're
um,
at the biblical allegory of
which
Mission Impossible.
I think we are. I think that is kind of what they're playing with. Like it's the light of grace that saves him when he's submerged in the waters. It's Gabriel, who's sort of the archangel of evil, of doom. The entity is the anti-god, and Ethan Hunt is the one man of the world who with a cross as his weapon is going to defeat the anti-god. Right? There is a well,
Oh, you're right.
it's not particularly sophisticated, but the movies are playing with these sort of ludicrous biblical themes, at least aesthetically. No,
Oh, completely. I didn't notice that, but wow,
it's
yeah.
it's
I
it's
didn't notice the naming of Grace and Gabriel, and
and Ethan.
that's a Ethan, of course. God, I thought I was kind of throwing my eyes up to heaven when you said biblical allegory, but
No, I'm coming for it. But that's kind of been a recurring theme with these films for a bit, and you won't have seen Rogue Nation, which to my money is still the best of these. But there's a
what's the
speech,
stunt
Alec.
of that one?
Oh,
The
there's a
plane?
few. The opening is he's on the outside of the plane just to climb inside.
I think I maybe have seen it.
There's a big underwater sequence that's quite good where he has to hold his breath for X number of minutes, and
Okay,
there's a
like this
basically
one.
yeah, but this is like a more expensive version of it. But
Okay.
anyway, my point is, there's a speech in that film Alec Baldwin gives at one point, who plays like the sort of CIA leader, and it's become very famous as sort of a meme because it's so ludicrous, but also in the moment extremely cool, where he describes Ethan Hunt as the living manifestation of destiny. That's the actual line, because he's so omnipotent that he can anticipate anything and sort of outwit anyone. And like, if you go up against him, just assume you've lost because of some like god tier, writer convenience. He is
Yeah.
within this universe. He's characterized as quote the living manifestation of destiny. He can defy all reality, and that's kind of the joke of them all, that he's stupidly powerful and
Okay, so for you, was there
accomplished.
any stakes?
Yeah, because I did think he might die,
Because they did it to James Bond, so they can do it to Ethan Hunt.
and it's also called the Final Reckoning and
Sure.
E62. And the whole
But
film is about him coming. But the whole film seems to be, and I admit this is the clunkiest element of it, about him coming to terms with some of his past stuff. Like the agent on his tail is the son of John Voight's character in the first film, the original villain.
yes, yeah,
And
they
there's some
explained that pretty
and the
clearly.
Don Lowe stuff. There's some pretty clunky tie-ins that kind of make it like this is the summation of everything, which I don't think really works. But it did
Hmm.
give me the feeling like, oh, are they giving him like a wrap
A
up?
send off. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
I
spoken
thought
a
they
lot.
must have been because he's in his 60s and I don't think he can physically keep doing these stunts.
Sure, but for his 60s, I mean, he looks well. Like that, they
He
make a
looks
point.
great for his 60s.
They make a point of him being in his little boy shorts on the treadmill, having a whole fight scene on the submarine. Well,
No, most of the movie he's just wearing is boxers.
he seems very proud of that. He's showing
Yeah,
off.
there's the
Yeah.
treadmill fight, and then in the submarine
Oh my
part,
God.
he
Yeah.
takes off his clothes, right?
I would say that's the moment,
Why?
and
He could have just taken off the backpack, but
I will
no, he's
say
taking it all off.
in my theater, and for different reasons, many people gasped at that moment. Half because he just like stripped, and half because that is such a ludicrously dangerous thing to add to the situation.
Also, that one, okay, there
He died.
was
Realistically, he died. Okay,
sure.
like there's no way.
How
No,
deep was he?
that's what I mean. His body would have crumpled. You're not. You can't
Oh yeah,
swim.
sorry, I didn't even think about the
You
pressure.
can't swim to the surface from a submarine. You just like that's no. He died, but he's also Jesus, so it's fine.
Yeah. So he
Again,
rose.
living manifestation of destiny. The whole conceit is that this man does impossible missions by somehow defying the laws of God and physics when it suits him. That seems to be the game of the whole franchise, and it's enjoyable, I think. I enjoy seeing him just defy everything. No?
Absolutely,
It's fun.
sure. No, and that's why I think my overall impression of the movie is positive because it is just it's a fun movie at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's just come on, it's very, very well executed in terms of like the practicality of it all.
Oh yeah, I mean there's certainly something cool about doing the stunts for realsies,
The wing walking is
but
insane. Okay, go on.
the wing
Tell us.
walking is insane. But the fact that doing it for real means that you have all that wind blowing into your face. And
Yeah.
so his face is just uncontrollable for that whole sequence. It's very funny.
But that's why you believe it. That's why
Yeah,
I think the fact that for one thing to say, I don't think at this point these movies are going for any kind of immersion. You're not meant to think that Ethan and Tom Cruise are separate people, almost, right? You're watching
sure.
to see the build up to Tom Cruise doing something ludicrous. So being able to see
Mm,
him look kind of not his best when he's doing it is part of the payoff of see he's actually doing it, right?
yeah.
That's kind of it's almost more Daredevil than it is film in those moments.
But you don't think about that when you think if he does the stunt for real, that, it's it's gonna take you out of the immersion for a second.
No, but I don't think it hurts that it does because it's so like it takes you out of the immersion to remind you of something that is genuinely very impressive.
Okay, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's
No,
quite funny though.
it's very funny, but it's a funny movie.
Oh, you think would you go as far as saying it's a comedy?
No, but I think it is deliberately very funny at points. The whole weird submarine crew he meets when he's on like the halfway submarine, like with all those like TV actors on it, like Milchick from Severance and Katie O'Brien and all those. That, that's
TV
a
actors, that was harsh.
well, actors who are emigrating transitioning from TV to movies through Mission Impossible, like Tramel Tillman, who plays Milchick in Severance, and the submarine commander here. But my point is,
Sure.
that's a fun group of guys. Like there's something quite silly about that submarine. He keeps calling him Mister, and they're
That
just
is
like,
weird.
and they talk about like, you had me at
That
fuck the
reminded
Russians, and
me of a scene in Creed where a TV presenter is doing a newscast and he opens the newscast by saying, "Hello, boys and girls." And there's nothing draws attention to the fact that he opened the newscast by saying, "Hello, boys and girls." That is an insane way to open a newscast. Just like in this, the fact that he keeps calling him Mister like that, and
yeah,
it's like never gets addressed, just gets repeated a lot.
I think I think this is more self-aware than Creed in that I think it knows this character needs to be quite funny to sell this sequence of the film. He needs to be an enjoyable presence of opposite crews, quite quirky, definitely someone who's lived at the bottom of the ocean for a few months.
Hmm.
And the Mr. Quirk is like just absurd enough that you catch it while not being so absurd that, you know, you believe Ethan would just stop the
Derails.
movie. That Ethan would stop the movie to be like, why the fuck do you call me Mister? Which obviously, if it was said like two more times, Ethan might have had to interject. But it's like just on the right balance where it's funny and odd, but there's more important things at stake than to stop and wonder why this man keeps calling you Mister.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's the
I
balance
did
there.
like Milchick's character. I was afraid he was just going to be a hard ass like every other character.
There's a great moment where he's like, "But if we're doing this despite the Russians, I'm in." And it's just like absurd. It's ridiculous. It's great though.
And then there's the scene in the submarine where the guy tries to kill him on the treadmill because they're all brainwashed by
The
brain
entity,
rot, essentially.
yeah, by the entity and its acolytes. It's
Yeah,
cool.
but like you have to assume that the way they're ingesting that is true like TikTok reels of Italian brain rot and
Probably
stuff like that.
much like modern Twitter and X. Yeah, I'd say so. Sure, Tom Cruise even has the funny line at the end. You spend too much time on the internet. I say funny line.
Yeah,
It's cheesy, but he is
yeah, it's
cheesy.
very cheesy.
But Cruise is cheesy.
Did
That's
you Was the AI thing a little bit too stupid?
It was much more sophisticated in the last one. This feels like okay, we just stop doing satire now and just ramp it up to nuclear codes. If you watch Dead Reckoning, it's a much more measured take on an AI villain. It's still comic booky
An
and
AI
stupid.
villain.
It's still yeah, but it's much more like
This
promising.
movie felt like they were made it like you actually. It was like the people who wrote this AI villain had never like didn't know what AI is.
Just say like me.
Yeah, you were saying that you don't use AI.
I don't use AI, no, but I know what it is. But no, I think Dead Reckoning has the entity like blackmailing people because it has personal info and it like extorts and it plays off people's personality profiles, all this kind of stuff. It's much more sort of like sci-fi versus this one being almost more fantasy, right?
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
think again, if you watch them together, Dead Reckoning is a better film. It's a more um patient and more sort of thought out film. This is more of a clusterfuck. But yes, I agree. The AI in this is ridiculous. The entity is a silly, silly villain. Bit of fun,
But
but
there's like
silly.
almost no interaction between Tom Cruise and it.
There's loads in Dead Reckoning Part One. That's it. You see,
Okay, that's why.
yeah.
They have the thing where he puts on that mask thing
Which I
at the
thought was
beginning.
I thought that was gonna be cooler, and it ended up just being like flashbacks and archive footage, and I was like, oh. I thought this was going to be
Yeah,
like trippy. There's a moment where I thought the entity was going to like present as like a Tom Cruise hologram. So like Tom Cruise talking to Tom Cruise, and then
right.
it ended up not being that. I was like, oh, I don't
Oh,
know.
is
I just
that the
thought
kind of thing that you get the impression it can do in the first movie?
not remotely. I just thought if we're going to go full sci-fi, let's have some fun with it. Let's have Tom Cruise face off against the only villain trying to defeat him, which is himself. Let's go all out on this thing. But then it ends
Yeah.
up being kind of just like archive footage, which isn't as cool. Whatever.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's something, this movie is obviously very camp.
Yes, I agree.
Someone recently asked me what does camp mean, and I struggled so much to define camp.
Okay.
What's camp? Maybe you can use this movie to ground your answer.
Why are you asking me?
Because I struggled with it. I want to see if you also struggle with it. Yes, is
Um,
the answer. You do also struggle with it.
yeah, I do. One sec. I'm gonna Google it.
Google says like flamboyant and
No, it's not that. No,
right.
because I did. I got a really good definition of it once, and I'm gonna try to remember what that was.
I think there's
Um,
an essay out there called Notes on Camp. I'm not sure who by. Maybe we should have read that. Well, you would have no reason to think you would have to read that in anticipation of this podcast, other than me now asking you to define it.
hang on, I'm reading about it. Give me one sec.
The point being for me to ask this is like, can we talk a bit more about how this movie is camp?
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, I think if we take camp as sort of heightened and self-aware,
Heightened is a good word that I think holds up in most
I
cases.
think how I would define the tone of this film is it's very heightened and self-aware, but it's also got a very goofy sense of humor, right?
Yeah,
Like I think I wrote in my letterbox review. You can follow me on Letterbox for more. That it's at once the silliest and most self-serious Mission Impossible film, in that it does take itself very seriously in the respect that Tom Cruise is going to save the world and defeat AI. This is a big,
yeah.
important story, but it's also like very, very silly throughout.
Well, one
Like
of the
all the
serious
stuff with
scenes
the
for me was when he gets out of the masky AI thing and he has like a breakdown. I thought they played that like it was very real for him. Whereas then there's other parts of the movie where it's like it's almost like he winks at the camera.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. I think also straying that line are the scenes that I didn't really like at first, but I kind of grew to like, which are all sort of the pseudo Doctor Strangelove boardroom war room scenes with the
Yeah.
president and all her advisors, where it's kind of like, do we need all of this? And then you kind of just get into the groove of it, where it's just
Do
kind
you
of,
think if they did nuke an American city, so for the PR of it, I don't think that would prevent a war. I think
I don't
people
think
would
it
be like,
would.
okay, but you still fucking nuked us.
To
So
me, that whole plan to nuke all the nuke sites and then one of their own cities is
yeah,
camp because it is almost, as I said, a strange love level logic
yeah,
pivot. Like, Jesus, how is this the best plan they have? It's and through it being so ridiculous and such like very not pointed satire, like very sort of flinging shit at the wall, it
yeah.
does kind of focus in on Christ, we really need Ethan to pull shit together because these guys do not have it all sorted out. They have not figured it out. We need Tom Cruise to like come through.
It's quite hilarious that the president's actual solution is just turn off the computer.
Yeah, it's again, I think I
Also,
don't
it
think all
seemed
of
like
it.
had she had actually done it in time, it would have worked.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think all of it is deliberately funny. I'm not going to make the sweeping thing of defending this entire film as being like parody because it isn't. But
Yeah,
I think the outrageousness does help as almost a juxtaposition to Tom Cruise's ego, where Tom Cruise thinks he's the most important man in the world, but the film around him is quite funny, and those two things at odds are kind of what makes it work. If this was 3 hours of Tom Cruise jerking himself off and saying he's going to save cinema, you'd get pretty like fuck off. But
okay.
because it's just an outrageous set of circumstances that he's saving, like I think that's what makes it work almost in a way,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like Tom Cruise isn't really defeating Gabriel. Gabriel is impaling himself on an airplane and falling to his death. It's it kind of all of Tom Cruise's great mighty heroic moments are undercut by something kind of almost whimsical
Yeah.
or
Almost all
cheesy
of them.
or cheesy, like when Grace saves them
I
when they
mean,
wake
I
up with
would
the.
say the ending is really kind of, you've got that like golden hour glow of Tom Cruise limping through the hills. So I think it definitely
But that's
goes
cheesy.
back.
That's cheesy.
Is it cheesy? I
Yes,
don't think it
that's
was, I
American
don't think,
hero.
yeah, but I think it's an American action movie. Like an American hero is real for them.
Except, right, and you mentioned this earlier, it comes directly after Gabriel telling him there's no parachute. And somehow he finds two while falling in midair. That's the moment that takes it from Michael Bay into Team America World Police. That's the moment where it becomes like this man is just like conjured two parachutes. Okay?
Sure.
That's where it
But the
becomes in
way
on the
that it's
joke.
shot once he's walking through the hills,
But
it's like
you
there's a
have to shoot like
moment
that.
of like, yeah, we love Tom.
Yeah, 100%. But that's
Tom
at
is
odds.
great.
But that's at odds with the fact that he just manifested two parts of the thing. Like it's ridiculous, and then it plays it totally straight for certain. And like it's that back and forth of like this man is like this is really stupid versus this man really thinks he's done something. It's kind of it's a
I
weird
think I'd be
balancing
so
act.
much harsher about this movie if I didn't feel like it's was one of those movies that like is solely exists to be entertaining.
I think I would be harsher on it if I didn't know that Rogue Nation, Fallout, and Dead Reckoning were extremely accomplished, and this is it's a wobble, but I know
Yeah,
the level that they're striving for, so I recognize when they do occasionally hit it in between the mistakes, you know? Like I think
yeah.
basically I think I have franchise bias towards this one a little bit. This is my MCU. I love when Tom Cruise jumps off things.
Are you implying that the MCU is the thing where or no, that's just a generic one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think you're a big Marvel guy, Sean, really.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, so you're so
I
yeah. Go.
No, I'm lost. What were you going to say?
I was gonna ask if you
Sorry,
had if
actually, I do have something to say. Is there going to be a next one with
I
Tom
think so.
Cruise?
I think so, and I'll tell you why.
Go for
They
it.
are they are introducing an Oscar for best stunts, but it only comes into effect in 2027, which means this
Oh,
movie
yes,
isn't
I heard about
eligible.
this.
So Tom Cruise will need to do one last stunt movie if he wants to win a best stunts Oscar. I think he'll do one more of these, or he'll do a Top Gun or something. But he's definitely going to do one more stunt heavy blockbuster just to get one of those Oscars. Because,
But he's going to have to do something insane.
but that wouldn't be like him, would it?
I know, but like, I feel like the wing walking was by far the most dangerous one he's done to date.
100%. I was
He
at an
didn't have a
interview.
parachute. In real life, he
He
actually didn't
didn't
have
have
a
a
parachute because it
parachute.
would have been more too dangerous if it went off. It could have crashed the plane if it accidentally deployed.
How do you think he got from plane to plane? Like I've been puzzling over because they don't specify that bit in the behind the scenes stuff. How he physically climbs from red to yellow without being strapped to wires. Like how does he
Do
physically do
you
that?
see him make
You
the
do.
switch?
You see him jump and grab the bar of the one above him because one's under the other. But I don't know how you can safely do that. Like, presumably he's got wires tying him to the red plane and then later wires on the yellow plane.
Yeah.
But how do you make that switch safely? Because the plane is then
Without
moving
having him
apart.
on two wires where he gets ripped in
And it gets
half.
ripped. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I've been puzzling. I have no concept of how you do that. The transfer.
Do you think if in some future Mission Impossible movie Tom Cruise actually accidentally does get ripped in half, that they'll include it in the final cut?
They would 100. Yeah, they would, and it would be in his contract to show it. I think. Sure. I mean, the edit, the take where he breaks his ankle on Fallout is the one they use in the film. You can see him break his ankle on the screen.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of hobble.
This is a step up from that. This is a man being literally torn in half by two planes. But
But
sorry,
yeah, overall,
I worry I've gotten a bit
sorry, go
fanboyish in
for it.
this one. I worry I've gotten fanboyish in this one, so I want to just say I
I
want to pass it
prefer
over to
you
you.
fanboy for this than Thunderbolts.
I wasn't even that fan of Thunderbolts. I just defended it from you. What's
I don't
different?
hate this movie, so you don't really have much to defend here. I kind of agree
No,
with you on most of the
it's
stuff.
kind of more a case where I just like Alec Baldwin, think Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt are like brilliant. He is the living manifestation of destiny, as Baldwin once said.
Well, oh fuck, we have 10 seconds. So I think
Question.
once where we started this was I was expecting to disarm you slightly by three, two, one. There's the timer. Okay, fuck off. Uh, we're not going
Finish
to
your
pay
point.
attention to the timer as usual.
Finish
Um,
your point, and then we can go.
yeah, so I think I was expecting to disarm you by liking it more than you expected.
Mm.
Uh, and but then you disarmed me by being harsher on it than I expected.
So we kind of met in the middle
And you
somewhere.
were you had talked previously. What was your line about the franchise? It's the greatest franchise of all time or something.
Greatest action franchise of all time. It might be. It's up there.
No, sorry, you said that very firmly
Okay.
previously.
Then in that case, I'll double down. It is the greatest action franchise of all time. Locked it.
Right. So you said
Lock it
that.
in.
So I thought James is going to be completely brainwashed about this movie.
No, because it
But
takes an
actually
hour and a
you were.
half to get to the action.
It
It
does. That's
takes
true. I
fucking
mean, there's a
ages.
fight scene.
In the prison, yeah, kinda.
Yeah, but that's nothing special.
And there's a great gag before we go to the titles where Ethan massacres two men with like axes off screen, and you just see Hayley Atwell responding to it, and then he
Yeah,
like comes at her and goes, "Come on, you go," and like rushes her away while she looks like horrifically disturbed, and then it's like that's funny.
that
Cut to
didn't hit for
credits.
me, but
That it didn't hit.
no.
I laughed.
Yeah, I can see like it was meant to be funny, but it just didn't do it for me.
Okay, that's allowed, I guess.
Finally, we disagree on something about
So
this
what would you
movie.
give this film out of 10? What's your star rating?
3 out of 5 stars.
I'm also on 3 out of 5
3.5 out of
stars.
5 stars, I think.
I'm also on 3 out of 5 stars, but I should clarify and say that my last three reviews of Mission Impossible films have been five, 4.5, and then five again. So this is
Which
like a
got a
big
5?
Rogue Nation and Dead Reckoning book got fives,
Okay, okay,
which
okay.
is weird because
Maybe I'll watch those.
most people have Fallout out of five, and the other two at like fours, but no, they're wrong. Rogue Nation
Okay.
and Dead Reckoning, just
I'm sure
flawless films, Sean. There you go, put that
somebody
out
will
there.
write in to tell you how wrong you are about
No,
that.
my three favorite films of all time, as established in this last week: In the Mood for Love, Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Those are the three. Those are the golden standard. Five
Okay.
star movies. Yeah.
Thunderbolt's a close fourth.
Yeah. All right. Fine. Whatever. I just, I just think they're neat. That's all. Okay. And I
They
feel like
are. They're fun movies.
I worry I've slightly embarrassed myself more so than usual with this one by just gushing relentlessly about how Tom Cruise is like the pioneer of silent cinema, which there are
It's
others.
okay because we'll release that thing where you talk about Cannes, and then that'll restore your reputation.
Right. Can we time those really carefully?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to mention, Sean?
I,
Like
I'm
what people
cu-
where can people find us? Maybe I don't know. Do you
oh
want to
fuck
mention
yeah,
that?
that's the thing I meant to mention. I'm also meant to mention what we're going to talk about next week. Um, what are we going to talk about next week?
Lilo and Stitch.
No, really? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. That was funny though. Thank you for
Maybe
sharing
I
that.
think Warfare comes out in June for me here in Italy.
No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. It's a terrible movie.
If I love Warfare, can we do it?
No,
It's what?
no, I don't want to do that. Sorry.
Fuck, okay. So I guess we really do are depending right now on. Oh no, we have to do Avatar or for James Cameron.
We can do Avatar anytime. I think we can pay. Oh no, I know what I want you to do. I've told you I want you to do this. I will do Warfare if you do the rehearsal.
Oh, I'll do the rehearsal.
Yeah, watch the rehearsal.
Why
Okay.
would I have an issue doing the rehearsal?
Next week we're talking about the rehearsal.
Okay, it's a full series, right?
The 6 episodes of 30 minutes each. You'll do it.
I can manage that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's
Where can
it's
I find it?
now it's now TV and Sky here. I don't know where it is
Now,
in Italy.
that's fine. I'm sure it's now. Okay, the rehearsal. Cool. Okay, I'm happy
Great.
with that. I'm a big Nathan Fielder fan.
But you haven't seen the rehearsal.
No. So I'm
Okay, so
clearly not that
this
big a fan.
so there's two seasons. It's the second season I want to talk about because that's the new one and that's the one that's kind of blowing up. But watch as much as you can. If you think you only get one done, watch the second season. Yeah, but
I'll get it done.
it's all worth.
We have the time.
I think that'll be a good chat. I think our listeners will really respond to that.
Also, I
Um,
think people would like if we did the studio at some point.
have you watched it yet?
I've seen it all.
Let's do it right now.
No, not right now. Come on, I
No,
need
no,
to go.
no. In the wrap up to the Mission Impossible episode right now, let's just 10 minutes of studio talk. Let's go.
Absolutely not. We need to milk a full episode out of this.
Okay. Um,
So stay
studios
tuned for that.
the studio is good.
Yeah, it's good. There's
Yeah.
very much ups and downs, so that's at least should make it interesting to talk about.
I don't know, and we'll see. My hunch is that the studio isn't an interesting show to talk about. That's my hunch. That it's actually only
So we
really
might not do an episode about the studio.
no, no, I'm happy to try, but my I suspect it's kind of fun to watch and then shallow as dishwater. Do you know? But we'll come to it and we'll have that
Hmm,
conversation.
I think you might not be incredibly wrong on that.
But that's just my feeling as like,
I think it's a type of a show that you talk to someone and you say, I've seen the studio, you've seen the studio. You talk about a certain episode and something that happens in an episode, and then you start talking about something else
yeah,
stemming from that.
it could potentially be our most scatterbrained episode to date, I suspect. But we'll give it a go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For you, the viewers, the listeners. I keep saying viewers.
And if
I'm
there's more recommendations, well, yeah, look, viewers, listeners, whatever. If there's more recommendations, please write in to tell us about them on our website, which is linked in the show notes.
Yep.
That's all. Bye.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Bye.
Do you not want to like, I don't know,
We've
make
done
like a
all the
big
things we have to
dramatic
do.
exit like Tom Cruise would do?
By getting ripped in half by two airplanes.
Would you mind?